Okay, I'm gonna cut right to the chase of why you clicked on this video. Follow your heart is probably one of the most repeated pieces of advice on earth. It's in movies, it's in graduation speeches, it's in songs, it's on coffee mugs, it's on those cringy Instagram posts where people are like, what's one quote that you have to pass on to the younger generation? Follow your heart. It's somewhere deep inside you, there's supposedly this calm, wise voice that always knows the correct path. That is what these quotes are trying to say, at least. But what if your heart is actually terrible at directions? What if most of your suffering has come from blindly trusting feelings that only wanted temporary relief? Because if I'm being honest, some of the worst decisions of my life felt emotionally correct while I was making them. And I think that's true for a lot of people. Because nobody ruins their life thinking that this is a horrible idea before they do something. Usually it feels justified. You text the person you know you shouldn't because loneliness suddenly feels more convincing than logic. You stay in relationships long after they've emotionally expired because familiarity feels safer than grief. You're procrastinating because your brain confuses comfort with protection. You abandon things you care about because failure feels unbearable to witness in real time. Your heart says, avoid pain immediately, but your future quietly pays the bill for it later. I think one of the strangest realizations is understanding that feelings are real, but they're not always truthful. Fear feels truthful. Insecurity feels truthful. Jealousy feels truthful. But emotions are often temporary survival reactions pretending to be permanent truths. And the dangerous part is your brain narrates them like facts. You're falling behind. You'll never become anything. They don't actually care about you. You missed your chance. And if you hear a thought in your own voice long enough, eventually it starts sounding objective. When people say follow your heart, I think what they're really trying to say is don't betray yourself. But those are completely different things because your heart wants Your heart wants contradictory things constantly. It wants intimacy but fears vulnerability. It wants success but it doesn't want discomfort. It wants change but it can't stop itself from latching on to things that feel familiar. Human beings are bizarre like that. We want things that invalidate each other all at the same time. Because sometimes your heart doesn't want love, it wants reassurance. Sometimes it doesn't want happiness, it wants distraction. Sometimes it doesn't miss a person, it misses feeling chosen. And confusing those things can alter the entire direction of your life. I think social media makes this even harder because modern culture treats every feeling like sacred truth. Protect your peace, cut people off, trust your instincts, do what feels right. And occasionally that advice is necessary. But sometimes your instincts are just unhealed fears wearing confidence as a disguise. Sometimes protecting your peace is avoidance. Sometimes doing what feels right is self-destruction with inspirational background music. There's this uncomfortable thing nobody tells you when you're younger. Your emotions are heavily influenced by whatever version of yourself is currently wounded, which means if you secretly believe you're unlovable, you may feel drawn towards people who confirm it. If you fear failure, you may unconsciously avoid opportunities that matter to you. If chaos feels unfamiliar, peace can start feeling emotionally suspicious. And then one day you wake up wondering why your life keeps repeating the same patterns with different faces. Your mind can romanticize things your nervous system barely survived. Humans are unbelievably good at rewriting pain into nostalgia. You miss toxic relationships. You miss periods where you were miserable. You miss people who consistently hurt you even after you cut them off. And it's not because they were always good for you, but because your brain associates familiarity with safety. even when the familiarity was damaging. And that's terrifying because it means your heart isn't just capable of being wrong, it's capable of passionately leading you backward. I think a lot of people secretly believe self-awareness automatically fixes them. Like once you understand your patterns, you transcend them. But understanding yourself and changing yourself are violently different experiences. You can know exactly why you sabotage your life and still do it again next Tuesday because emotions are persuasive. Immediate emotions especially. The human brain prioritizes emotional survival over long-term meaning constantly. That's why people stay addicted. That's why people stay emotionally attached, self-isolate, and return to what hurts them. It's never really because they're weak, but because discomfort in the present often feels more threatening than consequences in the future. And honestly, I think part of what it means to grow is realizing that discipline is sometimes just distrusting your emotions long enough for your life to improve. And I know that sounds cold and emotionless. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean to distrust your emotions? But I mean, recognize that your feelings are like weather, right? Like if you go to the weather app, they change. Even day by day, they will always change. And because they change, that means your wants and needs will change. And that means if you follow your heart or if you follow your emotions, you're really just following those temporary motivators. Their feelings are not commandments. If you obey every emotional impulse you have, your life becomes reactionary and you become a passenger inside your own mind. There's a reason people sabotage progress right before their lives improve. A healthier life can initially feel emotionally correct. A stable relationship can feel boring after chaos. Peace can feel empty after anxiety. Success can feel uncomfortable after years of identifying with struggle. Your nervous system gets attached to familiar suffering. And when something healthier arrives, your heart sometimes mistakes unfamiliarity for danger. Some people won't listen to their hearts because they obey their wounds. And maybe that's the real problem with the phrase follow your heart. It assumes your inner world is fully trustworthy. But human beings are fragmented. Part of you wants growth, part of you wants safety, part of you wants destruction. Part of you still thinks like the child version of yourself that first got hurt years ago. And all of them speak in your mind simultaneously. So, how are you supposed to know which feeling deserves authority? Maybe wisdom isn't blindly trusting your emotions, but it's learning to sit with them long enough to understand where they came from before letting them decide your future. Emotions are important. I do want that to be a point that comes across in this video, but they are temporary, like we stated. And a feeling can feel eternal at 2 a.m., but then you wake up and that entire essence of the feeling is gone. A heartbreak can feel unsurvivable until 6 months quietly pass. A failure can feel like it defines you, but then your life grows around it. The goal was never to silence your heart. Maybe the goal is learning that not every feeling deserves a steering wheel. Sometimes your heart tells you to go backwards. Sometimes it tells you to hide. Sometimes it confuses comfort with destiny. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is disappoint the emotional version of yourself that wanted immediate relief. Your heart may know what hurts, but that doesn't mean it knows where to go, and that doesn't mean you should follow it. Peace.